Care less about it right now, but he's on the doorstep of 880 victories and passing the great Dean Smith, right now tied on the all-time list with the Hall of Famer. North Carolina wins the opening tip, and we are underway. Pitt Panthers at 10-4, 1-2 in the ACC coming into play tonight. Jumper from the wing is going to be short by Leaky Black, the 6'8 sophomore, and out it goes back over to Pittsburgh. Well, it's been stunning to see North Carolina with this many losses this early, and hearing the Hall of Fame coach Roy Williams just beside himself. He's been so frustrated. He's been frustrated because the guys that he has in the lineup, he doesn't feel as though they are doing what they're being asked to do. But you see defensively getting after it on the first possession, and a roar of the crowd recognizing that defense really was the issue for this team. And Garrison Brooks, who took 13 minutes of playing time to get the first field goal in the game on Saturday, is able to knock down the basket with just over 40 seconds played in this one. That's right. They got down 20 points at halftime. That's a record here at the Smith Center. In that loss, backdoor cut, Hamilton will lay it up and in. But one of the things we're seeing from North Carolina defensively early is a lot of trapping in the half court. That's going to give Pitt some opportunities and help guys get their names on the board. When you think about it, if you give up easy baskets like that, you get guys involved in the game that normally wouldn't be. Jake Bell will shovel that up, but it's off target. Justin Champagny, 6'6 freshman, really has an ACC body for Pitt. He hauled in the rebound. He's going to fire it away from three-point land. It's around and out. Could not connect on the three. And I watched Champagny and talked to him in that corner right there, knocking down three-pointer after three-pointer in pregame. That's his sweet spot. If he gets those opportunities, he's going to take advantage of them. Unable to knock down the first one. Brooks with another touch. Expect him to draw a lot of double teams tonight. The swing for Francis. Thought about the three. And a whistle before the shot. Boy, it was a very, very rough night for Roy Williams in North Carolina against the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Carolina missed their first 15 shots. As Corey mentioned, they did not make a basket for over 13 minutes. I can't imagine had the Carolina fans stood up until they make a basket and then having to go through 3 media timeouts right, and still waiting for a field goal to be made. Yeah, it wasn't funny for them, but they would have been exhausted. Black gets a real good look, and that rattles in for the triple. You know, and Leaky Black is going to have to be that guy that even when things aren't going well for him and he's not making shots, he's going to have to continue to be confident and shoot them. They need his offensive production for this team. When you mentioned the injuries of Cole Anthony, Ant Harris, of course, they need Leaky Black to step up and be a double-figure scorer. Into the lane, got the pass inside. Hamilton takes a big hit. Very good officiating crew, outstanding. In fact, Mike Eads, Roger Ayers, and Brent Hampton. Take another look. And you see Garrison Brooks getting up in the air. And honestly, Brooks saved himself by grabbing Hamilton. We watched Anthony Davis last night go down with a tough fall for the Lakers, bruising his tailbone. And if Brooks does not grab onto Hamilton that way, he would have ended up in that same position. Smart play by Brooks. And also, by the way, doesn't allow Hamilton to get the shot up either, so just a hard foul. Yes, the 6'9 graduate who is at the line out of Atlanta, Georgia. 69% from the stripe and leading the team in field goal shooting at 57%. But neither one of these teams, Corey, tear it up offensively. They both struggle with shooting percentage. And that's the reason why Roy Williams was so disappointed in his team, as was Jeff Capel on Saturday, because both of these teams have to be better defensively to compensate for their lack of offense, and neither were able to do so on their home court, both taking losses on Saturday afternoon. The Pitt with a nice November win over FSU. That win gets better every day because Florida State now ranked number 10 Francis. Second effort now as it's picked off by Baycott. His pass into the corner. Here's Black. In and out. Can't argue with the caliber of the look. Got a very, very good view of the basket. And a second chance opportunity. We know North Carolina is going to crash the offensive boards. Baycott coming up with one of that possession. So it's almost playing with free money for Leaky Black on that three. Xavier Johnson, very quick slams on the brakes. Good tough defense there by Francis to seal him in the lane. That's a tough shot on the baseline by Murphy that won't go. So Carolina, tough defense early. Francis just throws it away right to Johnson, 6'3 sophomore on the attack, and he'll lay it in. And that could get Xavier Johnson going early in this game, getting an easy one to layup. You're talking about a young man who averaged 15 points a game as a freshman, down to 11.9 thus far this year, but looking to be more aggressive, especially in transition for the Panthers.
Carolina with another turnover. You're talking about Jeff Capel, second year for the Pitt Panthers. The school announced today he has signed a contract extension through 2026-27. That's always a good day for a head coach.
No happier. I mean, you can't be happier for anyone than you are with Jeff Capel. Of course, you saw what he did at Duke as associate head coach to Mike Krzyzewski, and now back with his own ACC program and making tremendous strides at Pittsburgh. You have to remember, Pitt was 0-18 in the ACC the year before Jeff Capel took over. They have expectations now of being a top-tier program.
On the slam, Champagnie gets up high for his first two.
And great find by Trey McGowan's attacking the paint. That's where he and Xavier Johnson really can affect this game, getting in the paint not only for themselves but for their teammates as well.
Robinson with a feathery pass and a jump shot stuck by Brooks, who has 4.
And one of the things, Obi, we found out over the past, couple of months, Garrison Brooks can score. We didn't know that coming into last year, but he has really taken on the role of being a scorer for Carolina and successful in it. You mentioned 35 points their last time out.
Black stepping in, now kicks it out. Robinson will swing it. Good ball movement here for the Tar Heels. Expect a relatively tight game tonight. Thrown away again. North Carolina with some early turnovers, 3 already.
Well, you have to consider Jeremiah Francis, who's starting at the point guard position for North Carolina. Almost 1,000 days between basketball games. He's really just trying to find his way on the court and forced into action with the injury to Cole Anthony and Ant Harris as well. Now he's the starting point guard for North Carolina, was injured as a sophomore and didn't play his last 2 years of high school basketball.
Black gets himself a good look and sticks the jump shot. Nice touch. Give him 5 points, so Carolina back up by 1. And the Tar Heels lost 7 games all of last season. If they fall tonight, that'll match that in early January. Remember, they were a #1 seed in the NCAA tournament last year for the 3rd time in 4 years.
And for Roy Williams, that seems like so long ago. Of course, you got Nasir Little, Kobe White, Cam Johnson, Luke May, and all the guys who were departed, Kenny Williams as well, departed onto the NBA or playing in the G League. And right now, this team trying to find its own identity.
It began the season 6-1, so at that time, things looked pretty sunny for Roy and the Tar Heels. Here's Robinson. 9-8 Carolina. Here's Pierce off the fake. Shot clock down to 7. First time it's been a factor in this one. On the spin, Francis nearly lost it. Has to get it up to 2 on the shot clock. Pierce went for the tip. He commits the over-the-back foul. That's a nice start for that young man, Leaky Black.
And Leaky Black knocking down the jumper early, getting his confidence going as the Heels hold a 1-point lead.
Gatorade Zero. All the
ever thought of reaching, and even if he wanted to get to this point, because he looks at Dean Smith as such a father figure, as a mentor, that I don't think he ever wanted to put himself in the same category.
Pretty move down the lane. Xavier Johnson has 4 points.
And again, getting inside that paint. Xavier Johnson, Trey McGowan's getting downhill is the key to success for Pittsburgh, but it's not always for them to score. They've got to be able to find their teammates as well.
Smith into the paint, the left hand. He's denied, but a foul on the play as he takes the hit. And back to Xavier Johnson with the blow-by.
And this is a move made somewhat similar or popular by all ACC performer Chris Paul, which is often snaking the pick and roll. And that time Xavier actually didn't come off the pick and roll and snake, turned it down, getting to the rim. But more importantly, because of the respect that North Carolina has for him coming off the screen and roll, before you jump it, he's able to take advantage of your miscues and no one there to help.
And Ryan Murphy with the foul, putting Smith at the line. KJ Smith, the junior, making 1 of 2 to tie to 10. Pitt tonight trying to snap a 22-game ACC road losing streak that dates back to February of 2017 at Boston College. Champagnie has it knocked out of his hands. Tight defense there in the baseline by Carolina. Black back out. Pierce thought about that one. Now jumps into the paint and gets the contact as he's hit on the play. And a foul on Drumgoole, number 1. And North Carolina without the All-America candidate Cole Anthony. He's out until the second half of the month anyway. The Tar Heels have lost 6'11" Sterling Manley and the freshman Anthony Harris for the season. After our game right here on the ACC Network, #2 Duke traveling south to take on Georgia Tech. It's coming up next on the ACC Network and the ESPN app.
And back-to-back road games for the Blue Devils. Of course, a big win at Miami on Saturday, and now going to Georgia Tech, who is playing very good basketball with Jose Alvarado back in the lineup. Had a big performance, 25 points for him here at the Dean Dome on Saturday. So I'm
not afraid to let you know, by the way, when he hits a shot.
Oh, absolutely not. He plays the guitar. He got a whole Jose's got a whole repertoire.
He sure does.
And that has been one of the biggest changes with the three-point line being further out this year. We've seen more players stepping on the sideline when they step back after catching the basketball because they don't have as much room and not recognizing they can't take that reverse step. We've seen it happen all season long.
The increase in the three-point line to the FIBA distance of 22 feet 1 3/4 inches. Here's Black with it. He gets off to a nice start tonight for Roy Williams. Tend to get off a shot on the low block. Up and in. Baycott, the 6'10" freshman and the McDonald's All-American. An impressive looking physique.
And that was a welcomed sign for the North Carolina faithful. 1 for 11 in his last 2 games. And of course, Baycott getting shots around the basket within 4 feet has struggled over the past few for North Carolina. So encouraging to see him getting close to the basket and able to finish.
Tie up on the play, and Pitt will keep the basketball on the possession arrow. North Carolina up by 2. Baycott last 5 games for North Carolina. Some very strange lines in here, huh?
It really is. And when you look at the field goal percentage for someone who's always been great at that, and for a big shooting close up, you're not expecting to see 2 for 14s, 1 for 6s. But then, of course, against UCLA, and their big front line goes 5 for 10. And let's get this, 26 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 block shots against Oregon, the biggest team he's played against all year.
Yeah.
He has those type of numbers against Oregon, so Armando Baycott is figuring out it's difficult to be a freshman in the ACC, especially in a program like North Carolina.
Official timeout, and they're going to warn Jeff Capel here to stay in the coach's box.
Well, that's the bench warning, so of course anything that, if it could be a flopping call, whatever it may be, moving forward would be a Class B technical foul on the Panthers because they have been warned already.
Foul here on KJ Smith. That'll be his first. Pitt has been very good defensively. They've held 8 teams to 60 points or less. You know they love that in Pittsburgh, returning to that style of gritty defense.
Absolutely. The way that, of course, Ben Howland, Jamie Dixon made popular back in the Big East days.
Way in transition. Very, very tough shots. Platek getting that up and in. Now, he's been struggling to shoot the ball, but not from that close to the rim.
Well, and has missed the last couple of games, so another welcome sign when you see all the injuries that North Carolina's had to deal with. Getting Platek back in the mix, I'm sure is welcome not only from Coach Williams, but from these fans as well.
Johnson, nothing but air. Collected underneath by Hamilton. He'll hit the deck and collect the foul. 14-10 North Carolina.
And when you're struggling to score offensively, one of the things you have to be able to do is get it done defensively. Andrew Platek getting in, getting his hands on the basketball, and turning defense into offense at the other end.
Tonight.
And one of the areas where Jeff Capel knew he had a good defensive team was in the Fort Myers tip-off where they won the tournament, actually beat Kansas State with 2 assists and 22 turnovers. I talked with Jeff about that earlier. I said, have you ever seen anything? He said, no way. Won the game 63-59, but a great defensive effort from his team because offensively, I don't know if you could get worse unless you miss your first 15 field goal attempts, which probably would be worse in that case.
You know, you win that game, you run out of the building. 22 turnovers and you win it. You've gotten a little lucky, too. Platek just into the game a couple of moments ago. He's contributed a basket. Just getting him on the floor. Very good sign. He's going to drive the baseline. And that runner won't fall. Tipped away, controlled by the Pitt Panthers.
But I like the way Platek and especially Leaky Black have been aggressive in this game. As Speaking of aggressive,
yeah,
Justin Champagnie with a strong move. He actually backed Baycott up on that one.
Now to Bishop Laughlin High in Brooklyn. I mentioned the terrific game he had against Northwestern in November. 21 points, 6 rebounds for the freshman. Black tried to save it around the back over to Pitt Panthers. Here they come in transition. Johnson with a dribble. He's short. Leaky Black picks the rebound.
It was nitpicking, but Xavier Johnson had an opportunity to pull up at the elbow on that possession, penetrated deeper, didn't shoot a traditional jump shot. I won't call it a floater. You know how much I hate floaters. I won't call it that, but it was just a push shot instead of shooting his jump shot, and it comes away with nothing in transition.
Pierce on the spin with 10 on the shot clock, and he'll draw the foul with 10:39 to go in the half.
Well, Justin Champagnie gets to that short corner, and you see attacks the basket. Baycott late getting over, and Champagnie more than strong enough to be able to score that one over the top to tie the score for the Panthers.
Eric Hamilton picks up his first foul. And another whistle, a tumble in the lane. Johnson went down, tangled up with Leaky Black. And that'll be his second foul for Xavier Johnson. Now, he picked up foul number 2 in the Wake Forest game. He had to come out, and the coaches said that totally changed the game. Flipped the momentum against Pitt. They wound up losing by 4.
He picked up foul number 2 when Pitt was up 22-6 in that game. They got off to a great start with a 15-0 run. But again, that's one of the fouls where you can avoid, especially when you're the point guard and leader of the team. You can avoid that foul. There would no harm would come to that if he allowed the cut to go through. And instead, the harm is the three-pointer from Brandon Robinson at the top of the key.
He's only hitting 34% from 3, but he's taken more attempts than anybody on the team. Of course, now with Anthony out of there, there's the runner. No, off the iron by Murphy. Baycott with a save. And Carolina on the attack again.
And I believe that's the guy that can really help this Carolina team. Brandon Robinson, if he can get into an offensive flow.
That time short with a jumper. Hamilton went for the save, went airborne, and another whistle. Grabbing at the elbow there was Garrison Brooks, who of course was the bright light against Georgia Tech.
And anytime right now for North Carolina, you see a player go to the ground or even wince in pain as Garrison Brooks and Armando Baycott both go after the loose ball here, it's almost as though everyone takes a collective sigh and a deep breath because they've had so many injuries.
Yep.
You can't afford anyone else to go down, especially a guy like Garrison Brooks, who's done so much for this team this year.
Insult to injury. He picks up the foul as well, and in some pain as he grimaces. And you're right. Everybody in the building held their breath there because Roy Williams told us before the game tonight it might be the case where there have been more impactful injuries on one of his teams ever. Going back to his Kansas days. Tough work underneath Hamilton, but it won't drop. On the run, Playtech. Cross-court Francis. He finds Brooks, yes! Boy, they moved it beautifully there. And now North Carolina has their biggest lead tonight.
You're 100% correct, Obi. That was great ball movement. But what was even more impressive was the defensive stand. Armando Baycott covered 4 different players and still was able to get back into the paint and defend Hamilton from getting a basket as McGowan gets in and finishes off the glass. But that's what Roy Williams wants to see from this team. Offensively, he knows there are going to be struggles, but he expects them to be a good defensive team. That's what he didn't see against Georgia Tech.
Foul here on the Pitt Panthers. 1916 Carolina back for another look here.
And you see Baycott stay out of foul trouble by staying vertical and then unable to get the rebound, but is able to tip it over to a teammate to get Carolina out in transition. Great ball movement. Gets Brooks a layup under the basket. And that's one of the biggest things where freshmen struggle is on the defensive end of the floor. And when you get caught up thinking about what you did wrong defensively, what your responsibilities are, often it can take away from your offensive ability. And I believe we've seen that with Baycott early in the season.
The key development, Eric Hamilton, 6'9" graduate for the Panthers. He goes to the bench, and they go right inside, and it's Baycott with the stuff.
And listening. Earlier today, had a conversation with him, took him back to a time when he was in the 9th grade, made him come into the gym and dunk everything. So our motto for today is dunk everything, and he actually listened on that possession.
Murphy short with a triple. Carolina trying to add to their lead, 21-16. They're starting to get the crowd into it as well here on this Wednesday night. in the ACC. Robinson. Here's Brooks. Short jumper, no. Murphy picks the rebound. The 6'2 junior, who has really stepped up his scoring recently. He's getting about 15 a game the last 3. Another short jump shot. This one by McGowan's won't go.
And a quick shot, one that I'm sure Jeff Capel won't appreciate.
Brooks sailing in the crowd with a save, and a timeout. North Carolina as Playtech hit the deck to save it.
Well, the young fella, listen, Dobie. We talked about it before. Dunk everything. Armando Bacot going baseline. The finish. They don't jump with you when you go like that.
Support your favorite college at Fanatics.com. The largest assortment.
Carolina up 21-16. That dunk everything for Bacot. That started early.
It really did. And Obi, of course, because I'm hanging out with you, I was on time today. So I got the chance to come in early and watch Armando Bacot dunking the medicine ball off of the feed, of course, from Cole Anthony, and you see going baseline and the finish. And it's that type of aggressive nature and aggressive approach that Bacot has to bring to the game on a nightly basis. He struggled finishing around the rim, 1 for 11 in his last 2 games, but off to a much better start in this one, 2 for 3 with all his shots in close, and happens to have 5 rebounds to go along with it.
Well, under 50% for the season in the paint. More dunks like that, that's going to skyrocket. Shot clock down to 8 for the Tar Heels. Robinson gave it up. Can't connect on the lay-in. And Pitt trying to cut into this 5-point deficit. Oh! On the drive, boy, very tough shot by Drumgoole underneath the iron. Here's Black to the baseline. He fires that one wildly, hauled in by Robinson. Up in the 7-minute mark here in the first half at Chapel Hill.
And Obi, we're used to seeing North Carolina scoring 80 points. As a matter of fact, the 70.4 points per game is the lowest ever scored by a Roy Williams coach team. So we're accustomed to seeing them being an offensive team. But the way they're playing right now with another offensive rebound, this is how they have to be successful. Getting it done on the defensive end of the floor. It may be low-scoring games, but all that really matters is you have one more point than the opposing team does at the end of it.
Justin Pierce has missed a couple of layups here over the last minute. Robinson straight on will drain a 2-pointer. It's a 9-2 run for North Carolina since the game was tied at 14.
And Justin Pierce just a little bit too close. He's a 3-point shooter. Those layups, those bunnies, that's out of range for him. It's too close. He needs to get the basketball beyond the 3-point arc.
Here's Murphy. They could really stand to get him going. Averaging about 12 points per game. He'll kick it out. Going to let fly, but that won't drop. North Carolina comes away. Here come the Tar Heels once again. Trying to pick up their 9th win of the season. Francis weaving his way in. High off the window. And it falls through. And a timeout for Pittsburgh.
And a spirited effort by the Tar Heels. Roy Williams got their attention after the loss here on their home court versus Georgia Tech on Saturday. And right now you see in each and every one of the guys in white playing with a sense of urgency. Jeremiah Francis recognizing Terrell Brown can't stay in front of him, high off the glass to extend the lead.
When I told Kate the news that she could get all the stuff she buys most priced low at Food Lion, she let all the parents know that these low prices weren't a one-day thing, more like an everyday thing. Then Mrs. Edwards realized if she combined those with Food Lion's weekly hot sales, she'd always have plenty to go around.
We have savings worth sharing with all our neighbors because this is our home, and that's our Food Lion.
Well, you make the point, I think it's a very good one, Corey, that the team has heard Roy. He had some very pointed comments, you know, from the Georgia Tech defeat right through to earlier today. Seems like that message has gotten through.
It really has. And when you look at the time frame, and still, you know, again, it took over 13 minutes for them to make their first field goal, but you see the difference in them offensively tonight. And the majority of that has to do with the fact that they've been so much better defensively. honestly believe that the Tar Heels got caught up in how bad they were playing on the offensive end of the floor. They started hanging their head, forgetting their responsibilities on the defensive end of the floor.
North Carolina playing some tight D. Pitt won for their last 8. They need something good to happen on the drive. McGowan's. And that one stuffed right back in his face. Here's Francis on the wing. Brooks kicks out. Black is the open shooter. Barely grazing the iron.
But again, a good shot, great ball movement, and coming off of a great defensive stand. We saw the block at the rim, and even though you come away with no points on that possession, you still put the intimidation factor into the Panthers' mind that it's not going to be easy when you come to the basket.
Off-balance shot by Trey McGowan's forced that. 25-16 North Carolina. He's starting to settle in. 5 minutes to go in a half. Swung out here to play tech, and that's going to be an offensive foul. That's going to go on Francis. Back to the block.
And Trey McGowan's, of course, can be big time going to the rim, but that time met by Leaky Black. And Leaky Black really has, point guard skills. So again, you don't expect for him to be a guy on the interior blocking shots, but at 6'7" and athletic, he definitely will definitely challenge shots in the rim. And of course, the next time McGowan goes to the basket, he's fading away, not going as aggressively to the rim trying to finish.
Leaky wearing number 1 like former Tar Heel Theo Pinson, and the coaches say he can be something like that, playing a number of different positions and being very disruptive. He can play the 1, the 2, the 3.
And when Leaky committed to come to North Carolina, that's immediately what I thought. Didn't know he would wear the number 1 then, but of course, I thought he could be a Theo Pinson type as Baycott continues to attack the basket and finish around the rim. And you see that the point of emphasis from his coaching staff has really kicked in with him as well. They need for him to be able to finish those shots around the basket, especially for a team that is going to consistently throw the ball inside.
Xavier Johnson with a bucket the Panthers really needed. 27-18. About 4 minutes to go in the half. Carolina looking worlds better than they did against Georgia Tech. Brooks will draw the foul in the act of shooting it. Garrison Brooks, the 6'9" junior. He will be at the line when we come back.
You leave it to me. I'll get your taxes in an okay place.
What?
Well, just as soon as my...
I've had this conversation a number of times. The Mount Rushmore of college basketball coaches. John Wooden, Mike Krzyzewski, Dean Smith, and Bobby Knight, in my opinion. Now, what has been brought to my attention is, does Roy Williams replace one of those coaches?
It's 3 national championships, by the way.
3 national championships. But what I would tell you is, Roy Williams himself would never say, yes, I go in front of any of those coaches.
Oh, you're right. He would never say it.
He would never say it. The state of North Carolina, and again, I'm an ACC guy. The state of North Carolina is a UNC state. Duke is a national program. But when you come to the state of North Carolina, they are about the Tar Heels. The state of North Carolina, for all that Dean Smith has done, most likely wouldn't say that. But you have to think about Roy Williams is in that category for what he's been able to do for 32 seasons of college coaching.
Murphy from the wing, no on the triple. I'd say this, that Mount Rushmore needs more room for Roy. Let's not limit that.
Okay.
I mean, tonight gets a victory. It's 880 wins, 3 national championships. He's up there. He is up there on that Mount Rushmore.
I do not fight that. And, of course, here on this side of the world, people say, get Bobby Knight off of there.
What's that guy doing in there?
And put both Roy and Dean on there.
Right.
We see Pittsburgh going to the zone now. We watched them work on this in their shoot around early. And this is the only way North Carolina can get them out of that zone is knock down some threes. Brandon Robinson stepping up to the challenge.
Robinson had missed the first 4 games of the season to a sprained ankle. Looking very healthy tonight with 8 points. 32-18. So North Carolina has it clicking on many cylinders tonight. That jumper good by Champagnie. That's a 2-pointer for the 6'6" freshman from Brooklyn.
And of course, that's going to be tough because Pitt 0 for 7 from beyond the arc in this game. As Baycott tries to finish at the rim, but Champagnie comes up with a huge block in that possession.
Latek picked it, can't lay it in. He's missed a few bunnies tonight. Probably ought to have 6 points this evening. A foul with 2:48 to go. And Thursday night, we'll take you to Coral Gables for some women's hoops action. Number 7 Louisville taking on the Miami Hurricanes. 8 Eastern right here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. 1-and-1 time. The foul on Baycott, his first. So McGowan's to the opposite end where he hits 69%.
And this is where he was in attack mode all season long a year ago. Started out ACC play, and the Panthers in their first four games of ACC last year, they had 2 wins at home, one over Louisville, who had just beaten North Carolina here at the Ding Dome, and then one over Florida State. In that Florida State game, Trey McGowan was 18 for 19 from the free throw line. So it doesn't get any more aggressive than that. And honestly, I think he needs to get back to that. But of course, the expectations for him are different this year, as are Xavier Johnson. And those two guys really kind of have had a bit of a sophomore slump.
They'll pick out the turnover 3-pointer there by McGowan. They still haven't hit one here in the first half. They're 0 for 9 from 3-point territory. 10-point lead for the Tar Heels, but Pitt trying to cut into that. Up top for Johnson, who is their best 3-point man at 41%. Trying to go one-on-one into the paint, tied up on the play, but a foul. 2:11 showing on the clock in the first half. And the foul on Christian Keeling is first.
You see Xavier Johnson now in attack mode, getting to that free throw line. And again, these two guys, when you talk about Johnson and McGowan's, they lived in the paint a season ago. Now talking with Jeff Capel, he made it clear to us that, of course, now when they go to the paint, there are 2 and often 3 defenders waiting for them, forcing them to use their teammates, and we get an opportunity to look at those numbers. Last year, 15.5 a game, only down 11.9 this year. But then you look, his 3-point shooting is up, but the number of shots that he's taken is less. And a lot of it has to do with he's being met with that opposition at the rim, but also picking up offensive fouls, sitting in foul trouble in the first half, and times where he's used to being on the court.
The swing in the lane, Baycott again in contact, and he'll be at the stripe. 1:51 to go in the opening half here at Chapel. Foul on Terrell Brown, a big junior, number 1 for the Pitt Panther out of Providence, Rhode Island.
And Obi, you've been calling games here at the Dean Dome and watching North Carolina, longer than I have. But one thing that you know is that interior passing is one of the staples of what North Carolina has done. They're one of the very few teams that traditionally still plays 2 bigs. And so it's important for those 2 guys to be able to communicate, pass the ball to each other as Armando Baycott gets to the free throw line off a beautiful feed from Garrison Brooks. And these 2 guys, when they're working well together, can be a formidable combination on the interior, and they have to be that if North Carolina is going to be successful this season.
Well, you're right. You could see Armando Baycott really becoming a monster in this league in short order. The kick from McGowan's in the corner, jumper and a 3-pointer. And finally they hit one for the first time tonight, 1 for 10.
Well, Obi, Pitt is 325th nationally in 3-point field goal percentage. So we're not going to rely on that for the Panthers, unless it's that guy, Ryan Murphy, who passed up an opportunity in transition, and McGowan's who made one earlier. and it becomes just that. Passing up what could be a good 3-point shot to go turn the basketball over. Ryan Murphy passed up one, McGowan passes up one, and now off of a great defensive stand, Pitt gets nothing on the offensive end of the floor.
Well, Carolina needs a clean possession, a flurry of turnovers for them here down the stretch. Under a minute to go before the break. Robinson, good look. Rebound comes away free to Keeling. He'll drop it in. His first basket, 35-26, North Carolina.
And Keeling was a starter early in the year. His minutes have been cut, trying to get back in the good graces of Roy Williams.
Well, an appreciative crowd here at Chapel Hill, given what they saw last time out, a foul with 33.5 seconds to go. That'll go against Leaky Black, number 1 on Leaky.
We talked about how great Xavier Johnson is attacking the paint, and that's what he has to be able to do. Find his teammates who become open because of his aggressiveness, and then Christian Keeling sneaking into another offensive rebound for the best rebounding team in the country and getting second chance points.
Xavier Johnson at the line, sophomore from Woodbridge, Virginia. 74% at the strike. And drops in the first one. Once in a while you'll see this now with the very talented but young backcourt for the Pitt Panthers. The officiating crew, and it's a veteran crew, Roger Ayers, Mike Eads tonight, pulling them aside, talking to them. There's a lot of conversation with these guys.
But that's the greatest thing about, I'm going to say the ACC, but college basketball, but I'll say the ACC because it's the only league I played in. You have the opportunity to build a relationship with officials. You get to come out and talk to them before the game, and they know you, you know them. And it's important to establish that relationship. You don't want to be a guy that they don't want to talk to.
Sure.
Because, of course, officials are human as well. The human nature, they give you the benefit of the doubt when they like you. If they don't, you're not getting that benefit of the doubt.
You want to be pals with those guys.
Absolutely.
If you can. 10 to get off the shot. Robinson will swing it. Keeling, the jumper mid-range, no. Sailing in there. Black kept it alive. Baycott, and a foul with 4.1 to go. And North Carolina pretty relentless on the interior there.
And Obi, you see a completely different mindset for Armando Baycott going to the rim. Leaky Black tries to save that, but you see there's nothing soft about his approach. It's simply go as hard as I can to the rim, and if I don't score, I'm going to force the Panthers to foul.
Baycott spending a lot of time around the iron this evening. 35-28 North Carolina. All net on that one. Andrew Platek, 6'4" junior, returns to action. North Carolina has out-rebounded Pitt 24-14.
And that is something that you expect coming in. North Carolina averages 44.1 rebounds per game, which leads the country. And more importantly, and Jeff Capel and his staff talked to us about it, they knew they weren't going to keep North Carolina to 5 offensive rebounds.
Right.
But they can't let them have 20. And that's the difference, of course. When North Carolina struggles to score, they will beat you up on the offensive glass. Pitt's got to come up with some of those defensive boards.
Roy Williams has always coached rebounding at a very high rate. Johnson could not get it off, and a defensive stop there in the final seconds. Roy, in fact, wanted a turnover, but he's up 37-28 here at halftime. And of course, when you're struggling to score, you want the ball as many times as you can get it. Coach Williams working those relationships. Mike Eads, Roger Ayers, giving them the ear, but not going to give them that call. Well, Carolina doing a little dancing, and Roy throwing T-shirts before the game. They set the mood, and they played to that, played to a very high level here in the first half, leading to Pitt Panthers. And our halftime show coming up in just a moment from Chapel Hill.
Players like Baycott, when your offense is going, your defense is better. And vice versa, when you're struggling offensively, you struggle defensively. Maturity gets rid of that, and as a freshman, that's been one of the things that Armando has struggled with.
North Carolina moving the ball well and moving it to a lot of people. 8 players scored for the Tar Heels in the first half. And they have the basketball as we begin the second half here at Chapel Hill. The swing and right on target. It's Baycott again. He's dunking everything.
Dunk everything. We're going to say it every time he gets one. And getting to the rim, great design. And that was a play that we watched Jeff Capel take his team through in their shoot-around today. Coach Capel not going to be happy about the fact that North Carolina was able to execute the way that they did coming out of halftime and getting Baycott to dunk early.
Foul will go on Leaky Black here on the drive, but back to that slam.
Well, we actually saw Jeff Capel getting out and almost playing basketball the way he wants his bigs and how he wants them to guard that possession. And that time, you know, Pitt taken by surprise, not the coaching staff, but the players. And again, this is a young Panther team. You have to understand that there are only 3 guys who have actual ACC basketball experience. That's McGowan, who's at the free throw line, Xavier Johnson, and Terrell Brown. And of course, Adis Toney is not playing in this game,
right.
So he's the other guy, that 4th guy. But when you look at this team, they're not a very experienced ACC team.
And Tony, one of their better defenders, too.
He really is. And Jeff Capel talked about his absence and really where he affects their rotation because he's tough enough to play the 4, but of course has the ability to be able to defend guards. So without him in the lineup, that definitely hurts Pittsburgh's rotation.
Key loss tonight. See if they can overcome it. Down by 9. Carolina with the basketball. The swing. Francis. The long distance shot is short. They're trying to pick up their 11th win of the season. Their backcourt, a huge part of any success they've had so far. And it's going to be an offensive foul in 19:06 to go. And that'll go against Trey McGowens as he'll pick up the personal. His first. So Jeff Capel not thrilled with that. As mentioned, today got an extension. The administration says the former Duke Blue Devil is doing things the right way with the right people.
I honestly believe that Jeff Capel is going to build a powerhouse at Pittsburgh. But there are a couple things that you have to have in place. And part of the reason why Jeff took this job, you have got tremendous support, not only from the athletic administration, but from the fan base. They want to be good again. This is a Pittsburgh team that really throughout the 90s and the first decade of 2000 was a great basketball program.
I mean, who wanted to go into the Peterson Event Center?
And
nobody wanted
deal with the Oakland Zoo.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted that problem. And that's
Forget
what
it.
I honestly believe that Jeff Capel will get this program back to.
Black with a pull-up jumper. Spins in. A lot of English. He drops in points 6 and 7. So now back up to 11 here for North Carolina. You sense a danger zone for Pitt?
It really is because, of course, right now they're struggling beyond the three-point arc. 1 for 10 in the first half. And when you get down big, you're going to need that 3 to get you back in the game. And this Panther team just isn't one that does shoot the ball very well from beyond the arc.
Shot clock a factor now, down to 5. Johnson gave it up, lost the handle. Francis, some nice tricky dribbling down the lane and blocked out of the sky by Champagny.
And Champagny saved a bucket because even if Francis didn't make that shot, there were 2 guys with Brooks and Baker on the other side to finish it up.
Boy, nice play there by Johnson, slicing back in. McGowens with a collision there, and he fouls the man on the deck, Brandon Robinson, with 17:52 to go in the contest.
And Brandon Robinson, of course, has dealt with a number of injuries already this year. Slow to get up. But good thing he is actually getting up. We talked about in the first half. The last thing that this North Carolina program can afford is another injury, especially to one of their rotation players. Brandon Robinson missed the first 4 games of the season. And as Gimpy headed back to the bench, as we see the collision between he and Trey McGowens on the sideline.
McGowens with his second foul.
And McGowens just going for the basketball, but they get caught up. You see the right leg of Brandon Robinson. He immediately grabs, his ankle, but immediately grabs it right there. And that's what he missed early in the season. I'm not sure if it was his right or left where he had the injury earlier in the year, but we see Brandon Robinson heading back to the locker room, which is not a good sign for the Tar Heels.
Yeah, he missed 4 games earlier with an ankle sprain. Here's another look at that collision.
You see that right foot get stuck.
They did go to the monitor. Roger Ayers coming over and letting us know it's just a hustle play. Nothing additional on that foul. They did take a look at the monitor.
And this is one of the best things. And I say the ACC because, of course, it's the conference that I'm in, and I see the most often and have the relationship with the officials. But Roger Ayers, who's one of the best in the business, having a conversation with Trey McGowens. Okay, it's not a heated conversation. He simply just tells him, hey, this is what happened, on, and we move forward. But McGowens acknowledges it and moves on, continues to play good basketball. And that's what I love about it. When you're able to build those relationships, it makes everyone's experience all the more better.
At midcourt, Baycott. On the attack, Brooks, and that one tipped away. Let's see what they decide on this one with 4 seconds on the shot clock. Yeah, it is tipped by Pitt. So North Carolina will keep it. They're going to get a shot in the air pretty quickly here. Brooks, crowd shouting, Francis, and he steps out.
We're gonna call that the 2020 turnover.
Yeah.
Again, for the 2019-2020 season, that has to be the most common turnover in the game this season. We'll just refer to that as a 2020 turnover from here on out.
Brandon Robinson has rejoined the bench for North Carolina, so really good sign there. Johnson will zip the pass for Murphy and 3. Can't stick it, so they're just not falling for the Pitt Panthers from distance. 1 out of 12 tonight. Brooks, who has a monster game against Georgia Tech, drops in 2.
And that is typical North Carolina basketball, whether it's Dean Smith on the sideline, is Roy Williams on the sideline, is Bill Guthridge on the sideline. 2 bigs, secondary break, high-low action, throw the ball inside the 1, and let the other finish.
McGowan's on net. Give him a dozen points. And when they've needed a big shot, he's tended to be the guy to step up and take that shot. Baycott for Francis. Slapped right back to him. He'll drive and kick. Great fake here by Playtech, but can't hit it. He's had a tough night shooting the basketball in close or from distance.
Well, they're just happy he's back in the lineup, as you're going to see the push-off on Xavier Johnson, the offensive foul for X.
That's his 3rd.
And that's a huge foul, because you talk about him being aggressive, and you see, does the right arm extend? From that angle, really can't see that it does. And Jeff Capel, of course, doesn't agree with that either with the call.
3rd foul for the sophomore point guard. They cannot afford to lose for any extended period of time. Francis thinking about a 3. Shot clock at 7. Step back triple. That missed rather ugly. Second effort here. Now taken away. Murphy on the break, and he'll lay it in. So every time it looks like North Carolina is going to break away and really put the hammer down, Pitt's made a comeback.
Well, this North Carolina team isn't equipped to be able to put teams away with their offense. They have to do it defensively. And when they can't get stops, then it makes it difficult for them on both ends of the floor, simply because they don't get out of transition. But this time, getting the basketball inside to Baycott, he's proven that he can be effective with the ball in his hands. He and Brooks both have been effective on the offensive end of the floor. If I'm Roy Williams, I'm getting the ball inside. He's
got a big night brewing, 13 and 6. Johnson slicing in will draw contact, which he does very, very well, and he's good at the line too. Foul on Francis, number 3 on Jeremiah Francis.
Yep.
For the Clemson Tigers.
Or the LSU Tigers celebrating in their Death Valley.
Talk about hedging at 45-37. Pitt at the line, and Johnson will stick the first one. He has 12 points. And part of the Pitt backcourt that accounts for 54% of the scoring.
And a very efficient game thus far for Xavier Johnson, other than the fact that he has 4 turnovers in this one. And as the primary ball handler, he's had issues at times. One game, of course, the Kansas State game we talked about, 0 assists, 8 turnovers.
Ooh.
And that really threw his assist-to-turnover ratio off. But I had Pitt when they played Canisius at home on December the 30th. It was the only game this year that Xavier Johnson and Trey McGowan entered with a positive assist-to-turnover ratio, both of them.
And Johnson came in. Murphy draws the foul. Johnson came in with 72 assists, 52 turnovers. Baycott, as mentioned, drawing a lot of attention on the trap here.
Well, and great job defensively by the Panthers, getting that trap, forcing Baycott to try to make a difficult pass. And it turns into an opportunity for Murphy at the free throw line. And Ryan Murphy, of course, a young man who started his career at Charlotte. And so he's familiar with playing basketball in the state of North Carolina. And instead of transferring and sitting out a year, went to junior college and was able to play at junior college for the year and then come to Pittsburgh. So Ryan Murphy playing it smart, but back playing in the state of North Carolina where it all started for him.
I'll tell you what, Pitt is staying close at the foul line, where they've made 14 of 60. Another turnover. McGowan's with the stuff.
And that time, no one there to challenge. And, of course, Trey McGowan's from South Carolina. He's got family in the building. He has to put on for the friends and family in the area, but now fouls the jump shooter as McGowan's, who averages close to 2 steals per game for the Panthers, going way above the rim for the finish. But coming back at the other end, picks up, I believe, his 4th foul.
That'll be number 3 on McGowan's. So some trouble in the backcourt, foul trouble for Pitt. And Black will get the roll on the foul shot. Back up by 4. It's kind of a tough foul, huh?
It really is, and great thing John's here with us because, of course, I had him before, and it's only 3. So, you know, I got to keep somebody to keep me in line every now and then.
Well, that's what I'm here for.
But then who keeps you in line?
Oh, there's a whole crew, man. You kidding me? There's a platoon. Takes the entire truck.
Okay, fair enough.
But Hamilton, Johnson, and McGowan's all with 3. And 3 really key guys for the Pitt Panthers. With about 14 minutes to go. One shot from the corner is all net. Sweet jump shot there by Champagnie.
And Champagnie, of course, getting back into it with the great steal. And he should get it back right now. Xavier Johnson not recognizing Champagnie with Garrison Brooks out. Of course, Brooks doesn't want him to get the 3. But when you work that hard to get the steal, you should get it back, an opportunity to knock down another 3.
On the drive, slamming on the brakes. Johnson off the window. That won't drop. They had an opportunity to tie the ball game. And now Leaky Black on the wing. Baycott on the high post.
Got to recognize Ryan Murphy on the back of Garrison Brooks. Garrison Brooks needed to get the ball in that possession. North Carolina missed an opportunity to get the ball in the hands of one of their best players with a mismatch.
Oh, it's going to be a traveling violation. Brooks not too sure what to do with it. That's 12 turnovers for Roy Williams' team.
And Justin Champagnie on the other end of the floor. And where the Panthers have struggled, you see not much penetration from McGowan's, but McGowan's recognizing Champagnie with room to operate and able to knock down the 3. And now the Panthers have the basketball with an opportunity to tie or even take the lead.
The last lead was 10-9.
And then,
you know, double figures down quite a bit. Champagnie feeling it with a 3-pointer way downtown.
And Obi, I mentioned the Canisius game. That was a game where Champagnie went 5 for 6 from beyond the 3-point arc for a career-high 21 points. And this is a young man who scored 21 twice and now trying to get it done here at the Dean Dome.
Baycott hooks it up and in, and North Carolina back in the lead by 1. So this one's shaping up down the stretch into a barn burner. Johnson trying to penetrate. Got airborne and traveling with it. He kicks it back over to the heels here. They've turned it over 9 times tonight.
But give Jeff Campbell credit. His team has changed this game with their full court pressure. And of course, when Justin Champagnie starts knocking down 3s, everyone gets involved. The bench is excited, and it picks up their level of defense on the other end of the floor.
Carolina breaks the press, which has been giving them some trouble. Playtech up top for Baycott. Trying to get it inside. Brooks stepping in close for 2.
High-low passing. Play through your bigs. If you're North Carolina, get the basketball inside. If you're the Panthers, right now, Justin Champagnie has the hot hands. Start running him off some action, especially with Garrison Brooks guarding him. Will be tough to keep up.
Hamilton into the lane. And a foul on the play with 11:43 to go. An offensive foul. Hamilton already in deep trouble. That's number 4.
Justin Champagnie, not 1, but 2 3-pointers here in the second half. The Panthers are 3 for 5 from beyond the arc in the second half, outscoring the Tar Heels 20-14 thus far in the first 8-15 of this game. And right now find themselves within 1 possession.
All right, the trio, 3 fouls from McGowan's and Johnson. Also 4 for Eric Hamilton, the 6'9" grad. So keep an eye on that as Pitt comes back defensively and knocks it away. Terrell Brown with the deflection. North Carolina has led by as many as 14 tonight.
And another great move by Jeff Capel there. If you're going to pressure, you've got to have someone at the back of the press that can defend the rim. Terrell Brown, who's now a top 5 all-time shot blocker at Pittsburgh, in the game now with his 132nd block shot of his career.
Black Block up top. Baycot's had a really fine evening. Shot clock to 2. Playtech on the baseline, tried to scoop it up, and that's going to be a shot clock violation. Did not get it off in time. 13 turnovers for Carolina.
And a stop for Pittsburgh. And again, this is what the Panthers have hung their hat on all season long. They're second in the ACC in scoring average per game at 60.1 points per game. And watching Xavier Johnson coming down, he's got a little bit of a hitch in his giddy up, limping a little bit. We have to keep an eye on that as Champagnie gets another look and buries it to tie the game.
Boy, right now, Corey, they can't guard him, and he's all smiles. Suddenly, he's got 15, and he's tied the game.
And like the way that this young man has approached the game as a freshman, shooting the basketball very well after making only 5 3-pointers early in the season, went for 5 against Canisius, and has continued his hot shooting.
Brooks with the tip. North Carolina back on top by 2. Approaching the 10-minute mark at Chapel Hill. See if Johnson gets the hot hand. He's 41% beyond the line. The Gowans to penetrate. They leave Champagnie open again, and he makes him pay again with another 3-pointer.
Champagnie gets the credit for making the shot, but we've talked about this backcourt of McGowans and Johnson. They both get credit for the dribble drive penetration, sharing the basketball to get Champagnie the great look.
7th time tonight, the lead has changed hands. Murphy bodying up. Here's Baycott up top. Now off for Black. Shot clock at 7. Robinson through the paint. That's off him, and he turns it over.
Justin Champagnie has become the it guy for the Panthers. A simple pick and pop. Garrison Brooks late on the coverage, but then a great find from Trey McGowans to get the basketball in the hot hand. Champagnie pays it off and flashes the smile.
Yeah, he's 4 for 4 since the start of the half from 3-point land. Remember, they could hardly buy a 3-pointer in the first half. And this, he's turned into a star for him.
This is a young man who had 5 3-pointers in his first 12 games.
Johnson mid-range, yes. And now they are really falling for the Pitt Panthers as they surge into the lead, 56-53.
And I love that play. That's the next step for X. Not penetrating too deep, going to the mid-range. And Obi, I don't care what the experts say, the mid-range is not dead.
Getting off the back iron, second effort here. Brooks high up for the rebound. Black tied up in the corner on the baseline. He bounces that one on that stripe, and they turn it over.
And this is where you miss Cole Anthony. On the other side of the floor, you see the Panthers point guard getting to his spot. The mid-range pull-up, knocking it down, not over-penetrating. On the other end of the floor, North Carolina doesn't really have anyone right now to put the basketball in their hands to go make a play. This one you miss Cole Anthony most.
And Pittsburgh has a lot of guys making plays. Rebound tipped out of play off Baycott, off Carolina. 8:35 to play. And suddenly Pitt with a 3-point lead on the road. Remember, Pittsburgh has not won a game on the road in the ACC since February of 17. Way downtown, Murphy can't connect.
And North Carolina dodged a bullet on that one. You've got the Panthers' best 3-point shooter wide open on an underneath out-of-bounds play. Unable to finish, but then he comes up with the steal.
Trying to lay it off the iron. Rebound tip, that won't drop. Back to North Carolina. Leaky Black in transition. Robinson. Carolina looking for somebody to calm things down. That's a kick ball out of play off Pitt. 8:02 to go. And Roy Williams will bring back into the ball game the freshman Jeremiah Francis.
And Francis really right now is the only guy that's been comfortable with the basketball in his hands throughout this game, and he has 4 turnovers, so it's not as though he's been great with it. But when you watch the North Carolina over the last couple possessions with Francis on the bench, it seems as though it's a hot potato. Nobody wants the basketball.
Scoring drought of over 2.5 minutes for Carolina. Shot clock to 4. Long distance. And the horn. Brooks sticks it. Give him 17. And we're tied at 56. Man, did they need that. McGowan's tough in traffic, can't get it to go.
And Jeff Capel wondering why there is no foul on that possession as McCowan gets into the lane and is unable to finish through the contact.
Francis to the paint. Gives it up for Baycott. No. And how about Garrison Brooks hitting a three with the shot clock winding down moments ago. The first of his career from three-point land. McGowan's corner. Yes! A triple. Well, Pitt raining threes. They were awful beyond the line in the first half.
And this is one of the things that, of course, is so perplexing for coaches. Pitt can come into the Dean Dome and shoot this way in the second half after going 1 for 10 in the first half, making big shot after big shot.
Francis steps for the three. No. Brooks going over the back. He commits the foul against North Carolina, his second.
Well, off of a broken play, the junior Garrison Brooks bails out the Tar Heels, knocking down a three to tie the basketball game. But on the other end of the floor, the Panthers stay poised. Trey McGowan finds the open spot. Great pass from Xavier Johnson to find Trey. Corner three.
What's my
ACC Network and the ESPN app. Well, this one's shaping up as a dandy here. Under 7 minutes to go, three-point game.
And the Panthers have done it with the three-pointer. 6 for 9 in the second half from beyond the arc. And found their rhythm here in the Dean Dome.
Oh, McGowan gets it to go and draws the foul.
But the thing is, of course, Obi, no one wants to help. When you're shooting the basketball this well, guys are reluctant to leave their man, and you see McGowan's getting in, challenging Keeling as Keeling picks up the foul. McGowan's able to finish through the contact and the opportunity for the old-fashioned three-point play.
So Trey McGowan, 6'4" sophomore from Pendleton, South Carolina, can't connect on a foul shot. But Pitt leads at 61-56. It's their biggest lead tonight. Pass tips. And North Carolina will keep it with 6:14 remaining.
When you think back of the University of North Carolina and you start thinking, okay, well, Dean Smith, Roy Williams always have had great bigs, but they've also always had great point guards.
Oh, they sure have.
And I mean, of course, we talked Phil Ford earlier. We talked about Ed Cota. You start talking Todd Lawson, on and on and on. There's so many great point guards. Right now, this North Carolina team with Baycott and Garrison Brooks, they have a formidable front line. They struggle in the backcourt. No Cole Anthony, no Ant Harris. They struggle in the backcourt right now. They've got to find someone shorthanded to put the ball in their hands to be able to make plays.
And Anthony, of course, missing 19 points per game. A guy who can get you a rebound, too. Johnson. Champagny. He's been the man in the second half of the Panthers.
He really has.
He brought them back in this game. Shot clock at 5. McGowan's launches. Got it! Boy, another big three. And this is an 8-0 run for the Panthers.
And for the record, he hadn't been bad either. 22 points now for Trey McGowan. And I talked to him before the game and asked him, can you have a big one here today? He said, oh, yeah, I'm close to home. My people will be here. I don't have a choice. And he has shown up big time.
Batted away. McGowan went diving for it. North Carolina will retain possession. 11 on the shot clock.
Trey McGowan's recognizing the shot clock going down, knocks down the three ball, and look at this. I get a little bit of a wink here on the look back.
Feeling pretty good right now.
He's feeling great in this one.
Francis to the baseline. Gave it up in traffic, dropped in by Brooks. Not a good night for him. He has 19.
Yeah, and the interior. North Carolina is fine on the inside. They can get the production from Brooks and Baycott. We'll call them the killer bees, but they got to find a PG to be able to help them over the hump.
Scramble for it on the deck. McGowan takes it and gets a timeout. And we'll take the break as well. Under 5 to go. 64-58. Pitt on the road.
Look closely at history in the making. This $50 Buffalo Gold piece was
from beyond the three-point arc. The Panthers now 8 3-pointers made in the game. And McGowan's not only scoring and rebound, has 7 assists to only 2 turnovers. So he's done it all for the Panthers here in the second half.
Missing in close there to give North Carolina an opening. Now the Tar Heels looking for a hot hand. Francis on the drive. Still looking for someone to give it up to. Gave up the dribble. Brooks back out for the freshman. On the fake. Shot clock to 9. Brooks.
And everyone here wants Brooks to shoot the jumper.
Yep, took it strong. Fouled by Brown on his way to the basket. 64-58.
And Garrison Brooks making the smart play, not going along with the crowd, but putting the ball on the floor and getting to the rim, back to the free throw line, where we mentioned 17 made free throws against Georgia Tech on Saturday. And he was the offense for the Tar Heels in that loss.
Yep, 35 points, a career high. Made 17 out of 18. But he'll miss here.
And you know that man Roy Williams wouldn't even tell him he had a great game, because his defensive rating for the first time was a negative. And so Coach Williams told him, he said, I feel bad, but I can't tell you a good game even though you had 35 and 11, because defensively you didn't help us.
We missed the pair. Stop for that. On a play, it's off the Pitt Panthers. Baycott doing a nice job to keep this possession alive.
Well, Brooks, we talked about how well he shot free throws, misses 2 at the line, and at this time of the game, every point becomes important.
Now Brown hitting the bench now for Jeff Capel in his second year for the Pitt Panthers. Again, they're trying to snap a 22-game ACC road losing streak back to February of 2017 when they won a game at Boston College. Last time they've won on the road in the conference.
And outside of Terrell Brown, I don't know if any of these players were on that team.
Robinson to the baseline. 5 to get off a shot. Francis kicks for Robinson. Can't hit the 3.
Great look. And one of the very few good offensive possessions that North Carolina has had over this last 10-minute stretch, where they weren't faced against the shot clock and having to force up something.
Over the top, that one thrown away.
KYP, know your personnel. That is not Hamilton's strength. That's one Xavier Johnson needs to hang on to the basketball and make a play himself. Instead, he gets his 5th turnover on the evening. Sorry, 6th turnover.
Here's Brooks. And a whistle. And another foul here on McGowan. That's going to be his 4th with 3:15 to go.
So what exactly is bow time? Well, it's pure anticipation.
Display. And we shall see 1-and-1 time now with 3:15 to go. The major question is for the Pitt Panthers, can they close this out? Can they continue to score down the stretch? Because the last time out against Wake, they couldn't do it.
3:07 remaining in the game, did not score after that. And of course, they haven't made a field goal since 5.5 minutes remaining in this one. So when you look at the Panthers, they're a team that does struggle to score at times, and oftentimes it hits them at the worst possible moments. Jeff Capel hoping that's not the case here, trying to get a road win in the ACC.
Brandon Robinson makes the pair. Good foul shooter, 75%. Pressure here for Carolina. Trying to bottle up Pitt Panthers. Down breaks it. Murphy did not shoot the 3. He waited for his teammates, coming up on the 3-minute mark. Open shooter from the corner. Yes! Another 3-pointer. Xavier Johnson. Give him 17 and a huge shot.
And Jeff Capel is too intense to smile, but right now he has to be feeling great about the execution of the team. But Brandon Robinson, just like that, comes back and erases the 3.
4-point game. They press again. Johnson brings it across. Under 2.5 to go. McGowan's has been on fire. Open shooter, Champagnie. Not this time. Well, he's been a go-to guy in the second half, but finally a miss.
And we heard a collective, oh no, from the entire crowd here at the Dean Dome when they saw Champagnie standing wide open with no one guarding him.
Robinson giving off for Brooks. A follow-away, no. Rebound tip, no. Brooks came in strong, too strong, and he commits the foul. 1:53 remaining.
Great offensive execution from the Panthers, getting a 40% three-point shooter, Xavier Johnson, wide open in the corner, who knocks down the three, and of course allows the crowd here at the Dean Dome to know just how many points that shot counted for.
Got to press into the turnover, and they pick it off. Francis has it. Black. They kick back out. Here's Francis, open up three coming. And a rebound by Murphy.
And right now, Armando Bacot not on the floor. Justin Pierce, of course, more of a shooter in the game, but Pierce had a couple opportunities in the first half around the basket. He didn't finish, and now reluctant to try to score in the paint.
Johnson running some time off the clock. Champagnie back up top with a shot clock at 5. The drive and the stop. How about that? And a hit on the play as he gets fouled with 1:11 to go. Trey McGowan's taken over here in the second half.
Well, and here, just being aggressive. We talked in the first half about how good he was getting into the paint, but it doesn't get any better than that. This time, no wing for me, but he got a flex for the camera.
17 points for Trey McGowan's in the second half, and 24 for the night, trying to make it a three-point play. Rebounded away by Carolina. Down by 6 at home. Francis, under a minute to go in the game. The kick here for Black. Around and out, rebound tip, that won't drop. Brooks up strong, he makes it, he'll be at the line. Carolina fighting here with 51 seconds to play.
And that was my reasoning for wanting Bacot back in the game, because you're going to get multiple efforts. Although Bacot doesn't finish, Garrison Brooks comes up with another offensive rebounds, 2 offensive rebounds on that possession for the Panthers. Brooks is able to finish it, an opportunity for the three-point play to make this, again, a one-possession game.
Champagnie with the foul, his first, 21 points for Brooks. He makes 70% at the foul line. 51.2 seconds to go. Both sides having trouble with a three-point play and a foul. This will go against North Carolina.
That's going to be Leaky Black going in with the hand in the back.
His 4th. 9 points, but 4 fouls for Leaky. And 50.7 on the clock. Take a look.
And you see Leaky Black there in the back of Justin Champagnie. Not a popular call here with the crowd.
Champagnie, good foul shooter, 80%, Corey. And a 1-and-1 for him. The freshman makes the first. 19 points for Justin Champagnie. Zaxby's player of the game. McGowan's tremendous in the second half in particular. 24 points for the night. 8 assists as well. And Champagnie clutched there. 2 foul shots to make it 71-65. Francis to drive and kick. Tight defense here for the Panthers. Robinson going to get a shot in the air. Nearly turned it over, and in fact they will. He's on the line. Turned over by North Carolina. Pierce was on the line. That's 17 turnovers.
Well, and what we've seen, Obi, for the latter part of this second half is a unsure team with the basketball, and it's simply about who do they go to make a play. And it doesn't necessarily have to be to go score a bucket, but to make a play for their teammates. And right now, this North Carolina roster, without Cole Anthony, without Ant Harris, they don't really have a guy that can go out and do that.
Gowans has it knocked out of play with 22.9 seconds to go. Well, what a comeback here for the Pitt Panthers. They haven't sealed it yet, but they were down by as many as 14 points in this game. They were down 9 at halftime. And there were several moments in the game where it looked like North Carolina was going to run away from them.
It really did. And North Carolina not only had a great first half, but got off to a good start in the second half of this game and had momentum building inside their home building. But Pittsburgh turned it up defensively, and they turned it up defensively after Justin Champagnie started to knock down some threes. Trey McGowan's got involved, getting downhill, getting into the basket. And right now we see the officials going over to try to determine who this basketball actually goes out of bounds of. From that angle alone, it looks like it goes off the hip of Jeremiah Francis.
Yep, here's another angle. He had not called a timeout there. Francis stepping in to deflect it. And the initial call was off North Carolina.
And just from the three angles we see, it's going to be difficult to overturn that, simply because it's one of those scenarios where you don't have a great angle to be able to determine that it actually did go off the Panthers to give Carolina the basketball back.
Well, the story of this game is the Pitt Panthers nailing their three-pointers in the clutch in the second half, Corey. As a team, they only make 29%. But in the second half, 8 out of 12 from beyond the three-point line.
Well, and that's huge for the Panthers, because when you have two guys that get downhill the way that Trey McGowan's and Xavier Johnson do, getting into the paint, when they're willing passers and finding their teammates, of course, they make everyone else better. And there's no one happier about the result thus far for these Pittsburgh Panthers than this young man right here, Jason Capel, a 4-year starter at the University of North Carolina. Of course, leading scorer for them in 2000, going into the 2000 Final Four. You look at what he was able to do. And again, this young man is a big-time Carolina alum, but of course, pulling hard for the Panthers in this one, as he's the younger brother of head coach Jeff Capel and the assistant coach on the staff.
Now, of course, they had reversed the call, but Carolina can't cash in on the three-point shot. So we have 13.8 seconds to go. A lot of the fans here at the Smith Center are heading for the exits. What an unusual time it is for North Carolina basketball. If they lose this game, they fall to 8-7, 1-3 in the ACC. I think a lot of North Carolina fans would say they would have another word for it. Not unusual, but how weird it is for a Roy Williams team who's struggling like this.
And Roy Williams coming under fire this past week because of a comment where he said that this is the least gifted team that he's had. And I've got to come in defense of Roy, because he told the truth. This is the least gifted team that he's had in 17 years here in Chapel Hill, and it is showing on the court. Whether people like it or not, he simply told the truth, comparing his team this year to the previous 16 teams that he's had.
Yeah, you know, he spoke his mind after the very, very ugly loss to Georgia Tech. He did it again this week, but as you said, being blatantly honest with people, it's tough to hear.
You know what it is?
Talking about a blue blood program, you know, with 7 national championships and 50 NCAA tournament appearances. You go on and on with North Carolina. They're just not used to this.
Obi, some people can't handle the truth. It's that simple. But the truth has been, especially in this second half, Trey McGowan's. He has been the truth, as has Justin Champagnie and the Pittsburgh Panthers, who have come in the second half and play spectacular basketball, both offensively and defensively, to get a hard-fought, well-deserved win here in the Dean Dome.
McGowan's 24 points, 8 assists. Champagnie, a career-high 22 points. Long distance, that'll miss by Robinson. Final seconds here at Chapel Hill. And for the Pitt Panthers, their 11th win of the season, they have broken a 22-game ACC road losing streak going back to February of 2017. That is history. Pitt wins it 73-65. Duke and Georgia Tech next from Chapel Hill. I'm Dave.